Hi everyone, my name's Sierra, and I had the incredible opportunity to actually do my field work at the elementary school I went to, which is Oker Elementary, and that's in West Jordan, Utah. And I got to observe Mr. Kelly's classroom. It's a classroom of first graders. 10 out of 23 of the students were actually ELL students, so it was really great to see that and especially have that firsthand experience. Another thing is, actually, 5 of those students had come from Venezuela this year. 4 had come, I believe it was October, and they had learned nothing about English and really had a hard time communicating. And then there was a student who actually transferred from Venezuela while I was observing, so that was really neat to watch that interaction. As far as the role of parents and administration in the school goes, I actually saw a lot of parents involved in the classroom. There were some parents the first day I observed that had come, and fortunately Mr. Kelly speaks Spanish, so I got to witness him speaking to them in Spanish and approaching them about their students, and really saw them working together to figure out what was best for the student. I also saw another parent come in and teach the students about neighborhoods and families, and that was really neat too, because the students knew her as the other student's mom, and actually were very respectful and were able to learn what they needed to from her. Something that was also really cool about the classroom was there was tons of numbers and labels on things, so that those students who didn't know English were able to actually practice and learn those things that they needed to know. And Mr. Kelly was really great with them. He actually, since he does speak Spanish, some instructions he would say in English and then in Spanish and then repeat them in English, so that first those who didn't speak Spanish knew what he was saying in English, and then spoke Spanish to make sure that those who didn't understand English knew what he was saying, and then said English again so that those students would be able to connect what the meanings were between the two phrases in the separate languages. So that was very, very neat. There were also different levels, of course. The student who came from Venezuela while I was observing was very, very disadvantaged with her English. She did not know any English, like I had mentioned earlier, and you could tell she was really struggling. But Mr. Kelly did a great job and really worked with her. And something I thought that was very unique was he didn't single her out when she made a mistake or had trouble. He just brushed it off as other things, and said, well, this is what we'll do. So some of those examples was, the first one I witnessed with a student is he actually said, "Miss Sierra, me bited a hole in my cheeks," which of course alarmed me at first. I was concerned about the student's well-being, but after we figured out that he was okay, he just had bit a little piece of his cheek. We talked to him, and something that really surprised me was he knew how to address me and how to address me properly in a school situation by calling me Miss Sierra. And his morphological structuring of the sentence was great. He knew what came first. He knew how to transfer the sentence. Something that I also thought was great was he said me, and he knows that he had to refer to himself, that me is a word we use to refer to ourselves. And that was really, really awesome to see. Another one was one of our students said, "Me can't say to this word because it's bad." And that was referring to a word in English who the student had learned in Spanish was a naughty word. So Mr. Kelly actually talked to that student one-on-one and addressed the situation. And that student also had a great morphological structure and great syntactic structure. They really recognized, they had the syntactic structure by recognizing that it was a bad word and knew that they needed to ask. So another example is one I'll move into here in just one moment. This particular piece of writing is from a student who was asked to write a short, silly story. Now, this student was actually from Venezuela and had come in September of this school year, so she's only been working with English for a couple months now.
something that I saw in her writing was that she actually had a great sense of morphological structure. She knew how to start the story and how to end the story. One of the errors I noticed was seen instead of seeing, and that can be easily changed with a lot of practice, as well as live instead of left me. So, and that's just the sense of an F versus a V sound, and that can easily be confused. Um, in conclusion, I do feel like these students need to get some more practice and definitely a lot of praise for their efforts. And all in all, they are doing great, and it's amazing to see their progress. And with these few practices, they will increase their English skills exponentially.